Hi, everybody. Welcome back to Zesty Thoughts with your host, Anabla. Welcome to episode 84. I hope everyone has had a wonderful week. I've had a really nice week. I've been outside in April, you guys. I literally was looking through my camera roll for the month of April, and it's like all just like pictures of trees and like nature and outdoors, which is like great. I'm not mad about that. April has Earth Day anyway in it, so it's like very fitting. But yeah, my mental health has been at an all-time high, I think, because I'm spending so much time outdoors, which has been great. I'm loving it. I'm going to keep it going because it just has me feeling this like internal sense of peace, which has been fantastic. I went on an amazing hike with my friend this week. I wanted to give it a shout out. It's a little tricky on the way up, mainly because there are a lot of rocks and it's not really just like a paved path. You have to like step over rocks and around rocks, and it's very rocky. So might not be for everybody, but I would actually recommend it to tourists. Like if you are even remotely outdoorsy, the spot is called Wisdom Tree. It's a beautiful view of Los Angeles. If you do part of the trail, you go up to a really nice view. You can actually keep going, and then it goes like behind the Hollywood sign. We did not do that. My friend and I, we just didn't have time. But the view up at the top of the hill is really, really nice. There's like a fork in the trail. You just turn left instead of right. Absolutely beautiful, breathtaking view of Los Angeles. I'll put some pictures here so y'all can see. You can see downtown, the observatory, like the beach, everything. It's amazing. So 10 out of 10, my recommendations. I mean, you can see this kind of stuff on all trails, but I would say it's really great for like tourists to go to like get a nice view, but it's definitely not going to be for everybody. It's very rocky. So I would recommend a water bottle, backpack, or like a sling for your water bottle, because you're probably not going to want to like be holding anything. Definitely hiking boots, maybe even a walking or hiking stick. I had a shillelagh with me, and that was super helpful, mainly just for the feeling of like, I don't know. You know what I mean? When you're in like a really rocky trail or somewhere where it's kind of like more treacherous and you're like, you're fine, but you like need sometimes that like little extra reassurance that you're not going to fall. Mainly going downhill. Uphill, it wasn't as much of like an issue, but going downhill sometimes can be trickier, and like it was just nice to have that as reassurance. So highly recommend it. It was really nice, great view. I did want to shout out my top territories for the pod. So I think this is just for audio listeners, like Apple Podcasts, Spotify, any other like podcasting platforms that are just audio. I'm in the United States, so this is like to be assumed that my top region is the United States, but I also have 4 other regions that were in my top 5. Vietnam is number 2, which is super cool. So shout out to any listeners in Vietnam. Spain, shout out to my Spanish listeners. Mexico, shout out to the Mexican listeners as well. And then Singapore. Some of these were kind of a shock, so that's super exciting. So shout out to my regions other than the United States. Shout out to my international regions. It's just super cool to see like where people are listening from and downloading the pods and like engaging and stuff. So thank you so much. Shout out to all y'all for listening. I'm going to do shout outs like that occasionally for y'all as I like see the pod evolve and like where people are listening from. It's like super cool. So shout out to y'all. Okay. I have 2 thirsts of the week. My first thirst is an app. It's called Sky Guide. It's really, really cool app. So you basically can point it to the sky in any direction, and it will show you based on your location, like what constellations are in the sky. It's so cool. The app also gives you like notifications if there are going to be any like eclipses, any like cool things like that, or just cool things to see. For example, on Earth Day, Jupiter and the moon were like really close to each other in the sky. So I'll post a picture here. So it was super cool. I rushed out from work because I kind of missed the closest point because I was still working. I rushed out and I just grabbed a quick pic, and it was just super cool. So it's really cool. They give you like notifications like that. I literally am gagged by the view from our planet. I love looking up in the sky. Obviously, I live in LA, so, you know, the light pollution is real. Pollution is real. I don't always get the best view of the stars, but every once in a while, it's a clear night. And this app is just a really good thing to have to be able to kind of like catch a glimpse of specific things, which is super cool. So if you're into like stargazing or looking at constellations and things like that and like trying to find them in the sky, I would highly recommend this app, Sky Guides. So I'm going to link the App Store link in today's pod bio. And yeah, you can check it out. It's super cool. My other like kind of thirst, I guess this is also just like an observation of the week. I've talked about this in a previous pod, but I'm really into like trees. And you know how people are like bird watchers and they like know every bird. Like people like know something like about a niche thing and they like know everything about it. My goal in life is to like know a lot about trees. Okay. So as I walk through my neighborhood pretty much now on a daily basis because I'm doing 75 hard and I got to get those walks in, y'all. I have been making a point to observe the types of trees in my neighborhood. In last week's episode, I talked about this one tree that I just really liked the look of, something about the way that it like canopied and the light colored leaves to the dark kind of ish bark, the contrast. And I was like, bro, I can't figure out what this tree is. I've literally Googled it. Like I've looked up so many different ways to try to find, I even did like a reverse Google search to try to find the type of tree. And it literally like, I couldn't find anything. It would like find something random and it just like wouldn't look like the tree. Okay. So one thing I didn't realize that I just found out this week was that on iPhones, I don't know if this is like just new iPhones or like past a certain software, but basically you can take a picture of like plants and trees and like nature. And if you're like close enough and it's like a clear enough view, there's like, if you click the information button, like the I button, it'll show you like, you know, location, aperture, all that kind of stuff. And it'll tell you if it's a plant, it'll like detect it. It'll tell you what kind it is. Okay. So I tested it on some like local plants, like jasmine, for example, that like roses that I knew, you know, just to see if it was accurate. And it was. So I was like, oh my God, now I want to go on a walk and walk by those trees that I've been geeking about and see if I can identify it. And it was successful, you guys. So the tree I'm talking about is a camphor tree, okay? This is like a little Google overview. The camphor tree, and then the actual name for it is like cinnamomum, cinnamomum. I don't know how to say that. It's like cinnamon, but it's not. Okay. Cinnamomum camphora. So the actual name for it is Cinnamomum camphora. I don't know if I'm saying that right. It looks like cinnamon, but it's not. It is a large evergreen tree native to Asia, known for its glossy aromatic leaves that release a strong camphor smell when crushed. I don't know what that means. I don't know what that smell is. Resembling wintergreen or root beer. Huh? Root beer? It's a fast-growing, hardy tree that thrives in full sun and well-draining soil, but it can be invasive in some regions due to prolific seed production. So check local regulations before planting. The wood, leaves, and twigs are used to extract camphor oil. What is camphor oil? And the tree is valued for shade and its strong scent, though the berries can be messy. I didn't personally notice berries anywhere near those trees. And I've been like walking in my neighborhood for like pretty much like all seasons. I never noticed berries at any point, so maybe it's wrong. Okay, a little bit about camphor oil. It says camphor oil is a pungent, medicinal, and aromatic oil derived from the wood of the camphor tree. It is primarily used topically when diluted to reduce pain, inflammation, and treat fungal infections like toenail fungus, or an aromatherapy to improve breathing. Only white camphor oil is safe for therapeutic use, as brown and yellow types are toxic. Right. Okay. So I will not be foraging from the camphor tree in my neighborhood because I'm not confident in my ability to determine whether it is the therapeutic version or the toxic one. But yeah, so I've been kind of like geeking out about that tree and I love it. And I finally found it. So I'm super satisfied. Another thing I've been on the lookout for while I've been on my walks recently are the types of palm trees in California, because there are a lot of palm trees specifically in Los Angeles. But just like all over California in general, it's like a thing. It's like basically our national tree, other than like the redwood, you know, at least in SoCal. And I've always like looked at them and wondered the difference between the types. So I did a little bit of research. So there are a few types of palms that we see in Los Angeles. So when you think of like the stereotypical palm tree that's super tall, slender, and like fanned out leaves, that is a Mexican fan palm. So I'm going to post pictures. I can also link this picture that I'm looking at in the pod description for audio listeners. Mexican fan palm. That's like kind of that stereotypical one. It says here it is Originating from Mexico, the Mexican fan palm has fan-shaped leaves and is identified by its red streaked trunk, okay? Those are like everywhere. That's like basically all the palm trees that you see like downtown or like pretty much anywhere in LA where there's really tall palm trees. It's basically that. The California fan palm is California's only native palm tree. It's known for its accordion-like leaves and excessive fronds on the trunk of the tree, okay? So that one's a little bit different. I also saw something separately that said that like the California fan palm is like shorter. It doesn't like grow as tall. And it has like that kind of, I don't know how to describe it. It's like a bulb right underneath the leaves. And then like they, you know, obviously like people that maintain the trees like trim that off slowly over time. So that is that. Other palms would be the king palm, one of the other most popular varieties in SoCal, usually seen planted around points in tropical landscapes. So this one looks a little bit different, like where the leaves stem off from the trunk, like the actual like palm frond is like way like longer. It's almost like I don't know how to describe it. What like food looks like that? It almost looks like a fern. Like it's like really like a long strand and then the things come off it. Whereas like the fan one, it's like kind of a shorter strand and it's like, it almost looks like a, what's the word? Like a fireworks. Like it's like kind of coming out in like a bubble. Whereas like the king palm is like longer and it's not as like rounded when you look at it. So I'll post pictures here so y'all can like get the gist of it. But to me, it's like so interesting. And now I'm like, when I'm going around LA, I'm like looking and trying to like analyze which kind of palm is that. It's so crazy. Just like a random niche, like new thirst of mine. Another really popular palm that you will see, it has the most contrast in the way that it looks compared to like the fan or the king or the Mexican fan. The Canary Island, I think is what it is, the date palm. This is kind of what is similar to what you will see in the Middle East. There's something about it that just looks more like uniform. The palm leaves are like really, really long, but the actual like trunk of the palm tree is not as tall. I don't think they grow as tall. I mean, maybe they have the potential to, but it has a massive trunk, dense crown of arching, feather-like fronds, and it has slower growth. It's a large ornamental palm tree native to the Canary Islands. It's popular, hardy, and drought tolerant. It's a good choice for warm climates. It's used as a street tree. These you will see like more lined in like maybe neighborhoods or like on streets. I guess it like depends, honestly. They're invasive in some areas like California. They produce small inedible dates. Okay, so don't go around trying to eat the dates from this palm tree. But yeah, this one is definitely like in contrast way different compared to the other really, really tall, like the palms that are like ridiculously tall that you just see everywhere in Los Angeles. This one's very different, shorter, and has dates, but apparently they're like not edible, basically. But yeah, this is just like a random niche rabbit hole that I've been going down. So if you're in Los Angeles, if you're based in LA, next time you're out, peep the different type of palms, okay? I'll post pictures and everything here, and maybe I'll also post some clickable links for images for the audio listeners. Because I realize now everybody listening on audio is probably like, huh? Every time I say there's a picture, they're missing out on that. So I will post clickable photos in the pod description for audio listeners. So you can just click on those links and like pop those photos open and see what I'm talking about. All right, y'all, buckle on in. We have 2 reviews for y'all this week on Zesty Thoughts podcast. Kehlani released her album. She released a self-titled album, and this bitch is on fire. That's like literally all I have to say. She's in her peak right now. I'm literally eating up every second of it. First of all, the album art, okay? I'm going to throw that here for y'all. The album art is 10 out of 10, a million out of 10, infinity out of 10. It's just so good. It's so cute. It's so demure and hot and tasteful and just like so fitting for the project. I'm sometimes more so drawn to album art that is not a photo of the artist, but if you're going to do it right. And clearly she did it right. This album's ridiculous. There are some really cool features. Usher, Missy Elliott, Lil Wayne, to name a few. It's ridiculous. The album as a whole has 17 tracks. I saved 9. Obviously Folded and Out the Window are just like 10 out of 10. I really liked the song with Missy Elliott, Back and Forth. That's got to be up there for me. Pocket with Cardi B was a bop. I'm like in the middle with Cardi B. Like I like some of her stuff, but I'm not like a fan. Like I don't like listen to her albums per se, but that song is so good. Another Level with Lil Wayne is good. No Such Thing. Feet Clips. These are just the ones that I saved. Ooh, girl, I was like, huh? Ooh is maybe my fave. Maybe my fave. I really like Out the Window, but I think Ooh might be my fave. Shoulda Never with Usher, and then I also saved You Got It. Okay, so I'm gonna be like listening again like all throughout the week. I just like want to do passes of this album like from start to finish so I can absorb it and really just like settle in. It is just the most decadent, pure R&B, and I just love it. It's really inspiring to hear. It has a lot of like classic like 90s R&B sounds. There's even like some 70s kind of like soul influence. It's just really, really, really well done. I feel like it's one of those albums that kind of sums up a genre. Like if you were to say, oh, what is like R&B music? Like if someone had never heard R&B, okay, ever, like any era of it, and they wanted to hear like quintessential, classic, like stereotypical in a way R&B, I would tell them to listen to this album. It's just so well done. It's so fun and playful. There are like a few like serious moments, right? But it's super fun. And I love when an album does fun, like unapologetically and like in a really good way. For example, Michael Jackson's Off the Wall. It's just pure fun across the board. There's like a serious moment here or there, but it's pure fun. That is my other review for the week, the Michael movie, you guys. I need a moment before I dive into that. But yeah, it's just quintessential, like fun. It's just fun to listen to. The songwriting, her melodies, just like I've said this before and I'll say it again. She's like a melody queen. I have nothing else to say regarding that matter. It's just a straight fact and you can't like even argue that. Harmonies are solid. The track with Brandy is also crazy. It's just really, really, really well done. And I will be actually probably peeved if this does not get a Grammy. It's just really, really magical. It's a work of art. Once in a lifetime type of project and album. And I think she totally ate down with it, basically. Yeah. You guys, the Michael movie. So backstory, I grew up listening to like all kinds of music. My parents really like classic rock, old soul, like really just all across the spectrum, all genres. I didn't really grow up with that much country, but I'm like now getting into that like later in life. All that to say, I grew up listening to all kinds of music. I listened to probably a handful of people consistently and like regularly as a kid. The Beatles, I listened to a lot. Led Zeppelin, I listened to a lot. Michael Jackson, I listened to a lot. Who am I missing? Like a lot of Joni Mitchell, a lot of John Mayer. But MJ was always one of those artists that I listened to. And I think that I internalized a lot of like the vocal isms and a lot of the vocal agility as a young singer. And I think that analyzing and trying to imitate and trying to replicate some of like the vocal abilities that he has, I think that doing that helped me develop a lot as a singer. So I have a very soft spot for Michael Jackson. Because I feel so connected like vocally. And I feel like it listening to his music at a young age as a singer, as a kid, really did help form my voice in a lot of ways. So I'm very like sentimental in general with Michael Jackson music. I remember the day that he passed away. I was like in middle school, I think, and I was in school, and I just remember like there was like I went to an arts school starting in 7th grade, by the way, and I think it was in 7th grade when this happened. And so everybody is like into music and the arts. And pretty much anybody at that age that's into that is probably also a fan of Michael Jackson. Just kind of like, well, duh, yeah, you know who he is. Like, no shit. And there was just this really really, really dark cloud that day. Like everyone was like bummed out and affected by it. And it was even like the teacher. I just remember like the whole school being in this like really, really dark headspace, and like kids were like crying and bummed out. And I remember just being like very emotional, like, oh my God, I never got to see him. And so for me, it was like really heartbreaking. Like, we don't get to experience any more new music from him. That's really sad. And also just like, he was so young. And I think maybe at the time I like had some frame of reference for like how he died and how devastating that was. But I just, now obviously I have a different perspective on it because I'm an adult, and I really understand the nuance to it, and how absolutely devastating it is. But yeah, I think it was just like, oh my God, I've never seen him live, and I will never be able to. And he was the greatest of all time. And we just like lost the greatest of all time. It was very heartbreaking, and someone that I really looked up to a lot, like an idol of mine. So this movie, as soon as I found out that it was even a thing, I was like, I have to go. Like, I need to see this film. And I think Jafar did the best job that anybody could do. I just don't think there could be anybody probably on the planet that could have done this. There were moments, I'm trying not to like give it away, because I do want people to like go see. It's not like there's much to give away. It's like about his life, and it's like, if you know anything about him, you already know about his life, so it is what it is. But there were split moments where it felt like it was actually Michael on the screen, because Jafar, he looked different than Michael. They did a pretty good job with like hair and makeup, but for the most part, he looked different. Like, I'm not gonna cap that. But there were just some split moments where it looked like him, and it was like very, very emotional to see. He just did such a good job. Like, I have no notes. It was just so well done. It was such an emotional and like vulnerable perspective on like him. It was very intimate in a lot of ways, and it just like, it was such a positive way to kind of like wrap up, I guess. It was such like an honest way to like wrap up a lot of like the things he was able to accomplish in his life, and like maybe just all in all showing like his journey and like his own personal journey in becoming Michael Jackson. It doesn't go past like the bad era. Everything after that, it's like they just stop there chronologically. I don't see why they would go past that. Probably the estate doesn't want to dive into how things went downhill and how he may have struggled and like dealing with accusations and all that kind of stuff. I could see why they wouldn't want to touch on that. I just think it's a great, like, positive biopic. I think that's like what a biopic is supposed to do. It's supposed to show like maybe a little bit of the nitty-gritty kind of downsides of celebrity and fame and all of that, especially uniquely to Michael Jackson's experience, but similar to many others, like the abuse from like a young age. It shows stuff like that. So it's honest in that way, but it just sums up the magic and the beauty and the soul that really like embodied him. Gosh. And to me, like my biggest takeaway was like, if that is really accurate to like who he was as a person, if this was accurate in any way, then gosh, we really are missing out on such an amazing person being on this planet. And I think that I hope it makes people like think differently on celebrity and I don't know, maybe just treating people and artists and famous people with a little bit more respect. But yeah, all in all, it was amazing. I cried like a ton in the film. It was like very emotional. Every time there was like a transitional period kind of in his career, like a live performance scene, it was just like, oh, God, they just really did really good job of embodying his energy and his spirit. So I really liked it. I hope y'all can go see it. And I would definitely recommend seeing it in theaters just for like the sound quality. It's just really well done. 10 out of 10. And I want to see more from Jafar now. Like he's a brilliant actor. Obviously he's like related to Michael. It's his nephew. So like I'm sure he had some isms just kind of naturally based on like, being family, but he did such an amazing job. It's very, very impressive, honestly. So I hope that we see more of him when it comes to acting, dancing, music, whatever he, decides to do with his career and how it unfolds. I'm already a fan. So yeah, 10 out of 10. Acting was brilliant. Obviously the music was great. And yeah, if you are in any way, shape, or form a Michael fan, I think that you will really, really, really like this film. All right, y'all, that is going to wrap up today's episode. Emoji of the week is going to be the glove emoji. Even though there's not like a sparkly glove for MJ, the red glove, I think is what it is, or like the mitten. That's going to be the emoji of the week, so drop it below. I hope that y'all have a fun week, a nice weekend. Stay safe, and I'll see you next week. Bye.